Okay, so we've hit the 3,000 mile mark on the car. So we are going to be changing the oil. Still leaking a good amount of oil. We're going to try this one this time. I think Scotty Kilmer had this on his little site. That's what he said he uses. So we're going to go ahead and try using that, see if that helps stop some of the leaking. Once again, it's not leaking real bad. Here's the thing. It's about a half a quart or so every 1,000 miles, maybe, roughly. So I mean, it's not like it's flowing out, but it is dripping. So until I reseal it, we'll just try different things to try to reseal it. So we'll work on doing the oil change. All right, we are starting our oil change. Just got the drain plug out. I'm gonna go ahead and lower the car. But the drain plug, there's no metal shavings at all on there. So that's good. And the oil is dirty, but it is not mixed with anything. So that's good as well. Hang on one second, Will. Hold on. So we'll let it go ahead and drain for a little bit. All right, oil change complete. A little over 5 quarts, so we put this in. We'll see how that does. See if that helps with any of the leaks. Oil was dirty, but I mean, no metal, no antifreeze in it. Wow. And even the drips that were like down here, they were dark, but they were still brown. So it wasn't sludge. So I think the oil change is good. That's the first time you've changed the oil, right? You yourself, all by yourself. So now we are good to go. So we added something a little bit to the battery. This quick disconnect. We're going to try this just in case the car sits for a while instead of taking the battery off, because there is that parasitic draw, but these are nice because it's a quarter of a turn. Now it's connected. Quarter of a turn. Now it's disconnected. So we'll have to see how that goes and see if we run into any issues with that like coming loose from the vibration of the engine or whatever. I hope not. But if the car is going to sit for any long period of time, I can just turn it off. I still got to look at the parasitic draw. I don't know if the alternator is not doing its job 100% or what, but he didn't drive it for a day and it was dead. And then he drove it for a little bit, brought it home. I put it on the charger and it was only like half charged. So I don't know exactly what's going on. There's the voltage is there, but still, even after driving it, it's still sitting at like 12.5 to 12.7 on the volts. When I had it fully charged and I took it off, it was at like 13.3 volts. So it's still not fully charging off of when it's running. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. Now I want to take another look at the parasitic draw. Alright, so we've been having this temperature gauge not 100% comfortable with. You can see where it's sitting, but see how it fluctuates and it moves around when I tap. So what I ended up doing, I ended up getting a gun. It's top, so there's intake. That's at the water pump. Yep. Here. That's at the water pump. The hose itself. So that's the hose itself. That's lower radiator hose. Upper radiator hose. And then where the temperature.
Where do you want it?
See the, come over here.
Oh yeah.
See where the temperature gauge is? Alright, and then right at the neck again. What is right at the neck? No, on the metal itself.
The metal itself? 150s. 180.
Yeah. So I got both fans going full blast. So I think the temperature's fine. It's just that gauge is just not accurate. And we'll just have to switch it out. And it's fairly warm today. It's not super hot, but I guarantee you it's not. So that gauge is Celsius. You're looking at like right there at that cylinder head. So that's the hottest part. It's only at 77. Right down there at that temperature spot. It's at like 90. So my understanding is that middle line in there is about 90. So I think temperature wise I am fine. So I'll just kind of keep an eye on it and measure it from here to there. All right, so we are going to start working on this charging issue of only getting like 13.3 or 13.4 volts to the battery from the alternator turns on. So we're going to start by testing the alternator. So we've got to get the air box out first, and then we can do a couple of tests on the alternator. Alright, so we got the air box out of the way. We are going to go ahead and we are going to test at the wires. We'll go ahead and start the car. Keep everything away from the intake so nothing goes in. But yeah, so let's go ahead and try that and we'll see where we are. At the alternator. We're at 13.96. I still think we should be a little bit higher, but we're not getting that at the battery. So, I think we're going to try to change out the voltage regulator and see if that has any change on it. But I don't think this is, I don't think it's the alternator. And then if, really what we should do, Will, is we should jack the car up and we can test it at the starter. So let's do that real quick. So we're at the starter now. And I'm at 13.2. It did get up to like 13.5 or 13.7, but it dropped down to 13.2. So I'm losing something. All right, well, we got the old voltage regulator out, and here's the new one. But what I'm looking at is how far those brushes are popping up. Wonder if these are just worn down. I bet you those are worn down to that spot. And they're supposed to be like that. So I don't know how. Here, hold that like that.
And then hold the other next to it.
Yeah.
Oh, why don't you go like that?
Yeah.
There's
So
your
I think because the brushes, it rubs up against something and it's just worn it down to there. So we'll go ahead and put this in.
Yeah, this piece
but
is...
you know, I don't get it sometimes. Why they would make these flathead screws to get in instead of little bolts is, I don't know. I don't get that. But oh well. I'm not an engineer. But we're going to go ahead and put this new voltage regulator in and see if that helps at all. All right, new voltage regulator is in. Let's see what happens. Nothing. Did not change it. Huh. I thought for sure that would have had some effect on it. All right, go ahead and turn it off. All right, so we're gonna get the air box put back in. We've got a new air filter for it as well. And I think I'm just gonna replace the alternator. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So, we will, we'll try that. All right, so went ahead and put it up on stands. Got the replacement alternator here. We're gonna try this Duralast one. Supposedly fits. So airbox has got to come out. We've already disconnected the battery, and then we'll have to loosen up the AC compressor and the pulley, get the belt off. Then there's 2 bolts, and we'll go from there. All right, so we have the airbox out. We've got the belt off, got the bolts out. Only able to get the top bolt out. The bottom bolt comes out of the alternator, but it won't come out of the bracket part because of the hard line for the air conditioning. So I think it's out of the part of the, so it's this bolt right here. So it's out of that part, but I can't get it out of the bracket part that sits back here because of the AC compressor lines. It's the hard lines. I mean, I guess I could take it off, but I think as long as we can get that out, so we should now be able to lift this alternator out. Here, hold this. So this should now just wiggle out. And out it comes.
With all the corrosion.
Look at how corroded that is. And there's our new voltage regulator. So, that and that. All right.
Good.
So we'll put the new one in.
All right.
Okay, one of the other things we have to do is we've got to get the pulley off of here and put it onto our our new one. It did not come with the pulley. It came with the fan, but did not come with the pulley. So we'll have to get that off. So here's what I'm talking about. This bolt won't come out. It's almost there. Oh, look at that. It did come out. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Never mind.
When you don't have an alternator.
Yeah, when you don't have the alternator, you can come up with it. It went in. So I'll be able to test to make sure that that is the right size for the new one. And we'll be able to get those in. Had to use the impact wrench to get the pulley off, to get the bolt off. And then we had to use some pulleys to get the pulley off. The clamps to get it off. But it came off pretty easy. It's pretty corroded and oxidized on the outside. I went ahead and put the old one in. So I think what I might do, depending on how this one works, I'm going to have this one rebuilt. I got a guy that'll do it for $125. So I'll go ahead and have him rebuild that one. And if this works okay, I'll just use that. Maybe keep it as a spare, or go ahead and sell it rebuilt. And I bet you I could get $200, $250. I couldn't find any rebuilt ones anywhere. From a trusted source, Pelican Parts, none of those places. They were all out of the Bosch ones. So I'm thinking the cost on those has increased a little bit because you just can't find them. So that is out, and we will go from there. One of the other things you need to make sure you do is remove the Woodruff key. So I got that out. I just take actually a little clipping pliers, get it on there, and just kind of just go like this with it, and they come up pretty easy. So we'll get this one in the new one, and we'll put the pulley on. All right, so the pulley is on. The bolts all fit. So now we got to put it in and see if it fits. Fingers crossed. Here we go. All right, alternator is in and all hooked up. Ready to go. One of the things I might want to look at doing is the newer models, there's a shroud that goes over this. And that's what this, and there's one down here, and there's one on the other side. But there's a shroud that covers this, and there's an air pipe that goes down to allow air movement and kind of covers it. My old alternator didn't have these posts on it, but this one does. So maybe look at getting that shroud for that. But everything's in, everything's tightened down, the belt's in. We'll put the airbox in and get her down and start her up and see what happens.
That's loose because that doesn't have a nut in it still.
All right, so everything is back in, hooked up. I got to hook up the battery, and then we're going to start the car and see what happens. All right, we're going to start her up. Let's see what we got. Haha, 14.36, 14.4, baby. I think we had an alternator problem.
Oh.
How's that make you feel? Very, very happy.
Fixed it. It was the alternator. Yes! No more dead car.
Nice. Okay, so he just got back from a drive. We're going to look to see what the voltage is. We're at 12.66 volts. So the fans are running still, so 6.5. It'd probably drain a little. But he said it started back up right away for him when he stopped. So we are good to go.